All right, well, thank you all for taking the time to be here tonight and taking time out of your evening in general. We really appreciate it. We're glad that you're here to learn a little bit more, hear a little bit more from us. You're going to hear a little bit from me as I get started through these slides, just about graduation requirements and some of the course leveling. And then you're going to hear from each of our department chairs that we have here tonight. They're going to give department overviews and kind of give you the journey that students will embark upon as they enter into high school. And we'll close with athletics, as well as Miss Driver, our director of school counseling. She'll talk about course selection process, college planning, and just counseling services overall. So here's a quick quote that we've posted for quite a few years now at these nights. It's a quote from one of our AMSA graduates. As you can read there, AMSA does more than teach subjects. AMSA taught me how to think, how to take a problem and make it simple to solve. That's just one of the many quotes, if you will, or statements or comments that we receive from our alumni. We really like to pinpoint this one because it really does sort of speak to what we're all about here, challenging our students to think, to go above and beyond, and give them the skills that are necessary to look at a problem and break it down, whether it's independently or collaboratively when they're working in groups, and make things, like it says here, simple to solve. Easier said than done, but I like how this student really pointed that out. And what it says to all of us is that we do provide students with the education across all subjects. We really try to have them build confidence in students, challenge them to think, but also have the confidence, like I said, to really look at something, look at a problem, look at a difficult math problem or a difficult concept in science, or a challenging concept in foreign language, and really understand how to get to the solution. So I really like this quote. That's why we kind of keep it alive here on this 8th grade parent night. So I'm going to go into the graduation requirements. I don't necessarily need to run through all of these, but you'll see the the amount of credits required per subject. English and math are required courses that all students in high school are expected to take each year. Those are 4-year requirements, grades 9 through 12. The 3 credits for science and history, you'll see there, basically means that the students have to take at a minimum 3 years of a history of a course in the history field and the course in science. We have 3 computer science classes that students will take. Computer science classes in the high school are half-credit courses, so they'll take 3 along there in their high school career. World language, there would be 2 years of that. That's a full credit course that would meet every day. So that's what students would take on in high school. Phys ed and health is a requirement each and every year from grades 6 through 12 at AMSA. And the reason for that 1.75 credit there has to do with there's a senior seminar course that takes place, which Miss Driver will probably go into a little bit toward the end, which kind of replaces that 0.25 credits for phys ed there. And then we have the fine arts credit as well, which Miss Preston will talk about, where students would take one year of that. In total, to graduate, the minimum requirement is 28 total credits that students have to earn for graduation. So an average of 7 credits a student would take per school year. And then for the standardized testing, our students would have to successfully complete the MCAS 9th grade biology and then math and English in grade 10. Course leveling, CP classes, college prep classes. These are courses, as it says here, that are aimed at preparing students, high school students, for entry into colleges and universities. Now, with honors level courses, there's a little bit more of independent learning that is required, and as it says here, a greater effort required. Courses just overall cover a little bit more in depth, go a little bit more in depth on the material. And then our AP program, our college level courses, that's all outlined in our program of studies as well. Each course in our program of studies clearly states now that these are college level courses, and these the curriculum is approved by College Board. And we're going to transition now to our first department chair. So I will give the mic away, if you will, to Ms. Luba Schmidt. She'll talk to you about our mathematics program. Take it away, Ms. Schmidt.
Hi, everybody. My name is Luba Schmidt, and I'm the head of math department. So as Mr. Naroki already said, we in math department strongly believe that the most important thing is to teach logic, and we really want our students to enjoy the thinking process. So this is our curriculum, and we do believe that we kind of follow this major goal of our department through this curriculum. And there is this set of courses. As you can see, you see different passes, and you see that we introduce subjects that can be taught in different in different pace. It can be taught quicker, and in some cases in more depth, or we can students can take more time to study some part of our curriculum. So on the right part here, you see that students taking algebra in 9th grade and then going through pre-calculus and calculus, and they have different electives. And in the left column, you can see that some students need more time with algebra, and we divided algebra 1, and we divided algebra 2 even in 2 courses, algebra 2 and algebra 3. So you see different passes. But at the end, we are proud to say that all of our students are introduced to ideas of pre-calculus, trigonometry, and majority of our students introduced to ideas of calculus. We strongly believe that students who knows concepts of instantaneous rate of change and cumulative change understands our world a little bit better. So we are really proud that we teach calculus in 5 different levels. As you can see, we teach algebra and geometry in parallel in grade 9, and some of our students are done with geometry courses in grade 9, and some are continuing in grade 10. Once again, those who need a little bit more time with these concepts. We introduce students to different statistics courses. You can see statistics and AP statistics in our curriculum, and this year we introduced new course, math for business and economics, and we hope this course will stay with us for future years. And we have a very popular course of accounting and business fundamentals, and usually students are eager to take this course. I personally will be very happy to take this course. I believe it is very important for everybody. So students are not stuck if they're starting grade 9 in any of these courses. They can move diagonally, and some students challenge themselves and starting with algebra 1, even algebra 1 in grade 9, and they can move diagonally through this table, and if they are determined, they can end taking calculus on a deep level in grade 12. So don't think that if you are in one of these columns, you will stay in this column forever. So you can move diagonal to the right and diagonal to the left as well, because some students say, okay, this advanced level is not for me anymore. I'm more interested in, I don't know, literature, and nothing is wrong with that. So just have this in mind. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer these questions at the end of our conversation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Schmidt. We're moving on here. I guess I'll be like the MC. We'll move on to English next with Miss Richardson.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to be here with us. My name is Marty Richardson. I'm the chair of the English department. A lot of what Luba said goes for English too, and a lot of what Mr. Naraki said obviously goes for all of the departments. And our main goal in English is to build critical and creative thinkers that are capable of interacting with the world around them in, an effective, constructive way. And to that end, we do a lot of writing. We do a lot of writing across all levels, whether it's CP, honors, or AP. It's just a matter of, again, the expectations and the depth. And also when it comes to CP, we try and keep the classes a little smaller so it can really focus on one-on-one feedback for writing, because that's really what helps to build and improve writing. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different style and approach. So to be able to have that kind of one-on-one attention is important. So what you see in front of you is primarily the literature curriculum, which is also obviously very important to what we do here in English. And at the 9th grade level, we do try to align whatever we can with history. So you'll notice that the literature is more or less chronological. And we also believe it's important to know where we've come from. So it's also, there are a lot of canonical works within our literature curriculum. So you'll see a lot of that, but we do try and keep it relevant, keep it topical, and build in other more contemporary readings and works of literature along the way. So in 9th grade, we have obviously college prep and honors. We start with the medieval period and we move all the way up into the contemporary period. Now, obviously, we don't cover a lot of literature in any one period, but we do kind of start with we do a little bit of the Canterbury Tales, Little Paradise Lost, and then we just move up to the 20th century. And grade 10, again, you can kind of see the same thing. In 8th, 9th, and 10th, we do a Shakespeare play. So that's there in each of the curriculums. So similarly in grade 10, we start a little bit later, not too much, with Shakespeare, move a little bit more forward, focus on the Romantic period, as well as the 20th century European literature, English literature primarily. But we also are working in and updating our curriculum to reflect more of a world literature kind of curriculum at this point. Grade 11 is American Lit, okay, which aligns again with history. And then in 12th grade, the students are allowed to choose an elective. Right now, at this point, we have 3 offerings. These are core English classes. They're not electives in the same sense that the other electives I'm going to talk about in a minute are electives. So right now we have a Shakespeare course that's offered for seniors, a Gothic literature course that's offered for seniors, and a contemporary world literature course that's offered for seniors. So depending on what their interests are, they have a little more choice at the 12th grade level, and it becomes a little more specialized to zero in on whatever literature they're interested in. We also have AP Lit in 11th grade and AP Language and Composition. The difference between those two courses basically is that literature focuses on fiction and poetry. AP Language focuses on nonfiction. And as Mr. Naraki noted, these are both college level classes. A little more time's needed, more writing, more reading, a little bit more of everything there. Lastly, we have several electives that are offered in English. And for 9th graders, we only have 2 electives next year that are available to 9th graders, and that's journalism. Mr. Smith teaches our journalism class. He spent many years as a journalist, I want to say about 15 years as a journalist. And he's very passionate about the subject, and it's a great class. And they get a lot of writing experience, a lot of learning how to interview, interact with the community, learning about journalistic integrity, things like that. And we also have a creative writing elective that's offered. Both of those are half-credit classes. For the older kids, 10th through 12th, we have philosophy. We have philosophy through film, which is team taught by our philosophy teacher and one of our teachers who's a great film buff. We have a new offering this year, children's literature, which is looking at almost a combination psychology and literature course. It's looking at the history of children's literature, how it's changed over the years, things like that. 20th century American novel. We decided that's a new offering this year too. Something that we feel like we don't do enough of just because there's just not enough time elsewhere in the curriculum. So we added that. And madness, mental health in literature is another offering that we have. Now, those may change by the time your kids are in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. These electives are offered by various teachers in the English department and just kind of depends on who's doing what on any particular year. But journalism, creative writing, art, and philosophy have been offered for many, many years. Other things tend to maybe fluctuate a little bit, change a little bit, maybe offered one year and not the next year. So always something interesting coming up there in the electives. So I will, that pretty much wraps it up. Again, if anybody has questions, I guess we're looking for questions at the end of the presentations, and you can always email me. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have about the curriculum or anything else in English. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Now we're moving on to Christy Jagelski. Ms. Jagelski is a longtime AMSA veteran, but it is her first year as science department head, but she's been in the department for a little over a decade now. So take it away, Ms. J.
But I've been at AMSA since 2007, so I've been here a long time. And welcome, and let me introduce you to the science curriculum. So at the high school level, science looks a little bit more like a traditional high school. MCAS sort of drove that a little bit, and actually college input when we were developing AMSA as a whole sort of delineated our core courses to make sure that students were competitive in order to go forward and compete at any college or university that they may want to be able to go at. So we have 3 core courses that you have to take, which fulfills your graduation requirements. So in 9th grade, you have to take biology. In 10th grade, you can take chemistry. And 11th grade, you take physics. Now, chemistry and physics sometimes are deferred by a year or pushed. So sometimes if something happens in 10th grade, chem gets pushed to the 11th grade, and then physics gets pushed to 12th grade. And then depending on how people's schedules are, people will sometimes defer physics to 12th grade in order to get everything to fit and make it all. I mean, you've started to see some of the very cool offerings that are around. And so at the end of the day, in order to graduate from AMSA, you have to take a biology course, a gen bio course, the gen physics course, and the gen chem course. But we have so many other cool things that are also running here in the department as well. So we can talk about AP. That's run by College Board. It's very cookie cutter. It is found in every high school across the country. It's a great way to push yourself, but it's not anything notable. Our notable comes actually on the last piece of this page, which is our electives and our research. So I'll start with the electives. These are open starting sophomore year, and with the exception of anatomy and physiology and environmental sustainability, are both senior only classes. Discovery New England is a junior senior class. It just seems to be where it fits for everybody, but meteorology is opening this will be a new course this year. And it opens starting sophomore year and will run open for sophomore, juniors, and seniors. But our bread and butter and where we spend a lot of our time and our money and where we get really excited is our science research program. So our science research program offers students the ability to take a course for 3 years and have independent research that they are doing in the classroom with their teacher that answers a question or a problem here at AMSA or in the overall bigger field of science. So we have a biochemistry program, which is a biotechnology kind of program, which is very, very cool. That is run by Joe Bengiovanni and his program, and he's done some really cool things. Right now they're working with getting ferrous nanoparticles into cells as part of a bigger cancer research kind of problem, which is really cool. They've done lots of cool things over there. Ecology is shifting. We have a new teacher who has some really cool skill sets. So ecology, instead of being 2 sections of the exact same research, We're going to make a section, 2 different sections. One is going to be field-based, where students are going to have to be prepared to get out into the weather. We'll have boots, we'll have stuff like that, but their classes will be outdoors, and they will be doing general field research in the surrounding woods around AMSA. And then the second eco research will be a GIS software research, where students will be looking at bigger ecological problems and learning how to use computers to map them. And this will tie in a little bit with Ms. Bindaro and her CS, but for the most part, it is a passion and a focus of our current ecology teacher. Geochemistry is what I teach. It's basically dirt science. It's a lot of fun. It's another field research, which means students have to be prepared to go outside, get samples, and then come back in and test those samples. So right now we are looking at the desalination or the salination of the waterways and dirtways around 495 up against our property has 2 runoff streams. And so we're looking at how snow and all of the salts that are being put down for winter affect our area. So that's cool. And we have another new research coming this year. It's going to be scientific instrumentation. This course is designed to allow students into the back rooms of some of our really cool places and be able to work with our SEM, to be able to work with our XRF, our fluorescing microscope, our gas chromatography. I'm so sorry, but I'm nervous. I'm stuttering. But our GC spec, our mass spec, all these kind of cool things. So they'll get a hands-on way, electrophoresis, to work with actual scientific instrumentation. And then our last research is run by Mr. Stonebreaker, our physics teacher, and it is our astronomy. And they are looking at really cool projections and astronomy components, looking and using physics in real life applications. So that is us here at the science department. And we have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun with our other departments. And it's kind of interesting and unique to be just science this year, but I talk to Ms. Bindaro a lot, so it's all good. All right, Mr. Rocky, it's all you.
All right, thanks, Ms. Shea. Next up, I think we have computer science. Ms. Bindaro, similar to Ms. Jagelski, she's been here for quite a while now, a little bit longer than I have, so probably about 13, 14 years. And she is a veteran teacher who has just started in her role as department chair this year for computer science. Take it away, Ms. Bindaro.
Hi, welcome everyone. It's very nice to meet you all virtually. This program has been here at AMSA one of a kind, because I think most places computer science is not in the core. As you all know, we teach computer science 6 through 12, or actually 6 to 11, and 12 is elective, but majority of the students do tend to take classes over there too. In grade 9, we try to offer 2 different paths, like, one to the programming side with Intro to Java, and then Intro to Web Design, which is more web publishing and stuff like that. This year, we're excited to offer a new course called Intro to Linguistics. The idea being, like, how languages are developed, because it is very, very relevant to how compilers and interpreters are developed or designed in the computer science world, is also a basis. I have 2 linguistics specialists in my department right now, Mr. Greg Pios and Mr. Brian Bakla, who came from foreign language department, world language department. So they have utmost knowledge about that, and they want to introduce the students to provide an opportunity for that. And eventually we want to move in, try and offer a advanced level computational linguistics course as a senior only class in future, in the, in a couple of years, possibly, depending on where the students are on the basis of that. Apart from that, for the engineering side, we have waited. Originally, we wanted to provide the opportunity to do the computer-aided design, and there was supposed to be some kind of geometrical knowledge for that. So we are starting to offer that at the 10th grade level. And in grade 11, so there is a mashup that is put in grade 11 and 12. In those, in that courses, cybersecurity and CS engineering research and ArcMech design are the 3 classes that are offered only as seniors. They're 11th. It is not offered for 11th graders, but we combine them all because that's an opportunity for 11th and 12th grade students together, like, the data science, AP computer science, digital media, and total robotics. That was a small editing that we need to do from my side. I did it on the other slide, but I don't think I posted it yet. But all I wanted to say is the idea is to provide an opportunity for the students to get their feet wet in the programming world, and whether it is digital media publishing side or whether it is true programming side. The program enriched courses are Intro to Data Science and then cybersecurity, where AP Computer Science is a prerequisite. Some of the parents do tend to ask me if they take the AP Computer Science exam on their own, will they be allowed to take those courses? Unfortunately, no. Taking the course at AMSA is the requirement, because we teach way beyond the AP course requirement at AMSA for the AP Computer Science. We teach them problem solving techniques and writing pseudocode, and what goes well in the real world is something that we try to offer during that course and get them into a habit of doing coding properly. The basis being, we try to offer internships also, like, working with companies, Thermo Fisher, IDEMIA, and there are a bunch of companies that the students get internships as 11th graders and 12th graders too. So in order for our department to be able to provide those opportunities, there needs to be some basics and fundamentals that those companies require, and people who are taking AP Computer Science, we try to coach them on all of that. Any other questions that you have, please feel free to send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to respond them as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Noor.
Thanks, Ms. Bandaru. All right, we're going to move on here to the good doctor, Dr. Anders Lewis, longtime veteran. He's been at AMSA since day one, before the doors even opened. Dr. Lewis, take it away.
I'm an old timer. I've been here a long time. Hello, everybody. As everybody said, thank you all for coming. I know everyone's very busy. You have a busy schedule, so we all appreciate you taking the time to come tonight and to listen to our presentation. So when it comes to history, we have a couple really big goals that all of our history teachers share. All of us think that history is endlessly fascinating. It's just a source of great stories to learn and to hear about. We think that history also is it's a source of inspiration to learn about individuals and movements of the past that have, against great odds, made some substantial improvements in our society and in societies throughout the world. The abolitionist movement, the feminist and women's rights movement, the civil rights movement, the LGBTQ movement, to cite some examples. History is also a great source of empathy, to learn how people in the past struggled, but through their struggles, they also persevered. And last but not least, history is also, hopefully, and perhaps most importantly, it's fundamental to good citizenship, to helping our young students as they go out into the world be able to make well-informed decisions when they go to the polling booths, when they make the decisions about who to elect for a representative, for a senator, or for a president of the United States. So those are our big goals, and the way we go about that at the high school level, you can see that there. I will go from left to right, from the columns to the left to the right. So in grade 9, we start, your kids next year, your students next year will take world history from 1750 to the present. So that goes essentially from right before the French Revolution, through the Industrial Revolution, World War I and II, and the Cold War, all the way up to the present day. So your students will be taking that, and that it provides a perspective of the world. So there's a focus on Europe, there's a focus on Africa, South America, Asia. We've worked really hard to really try to make our world history course in 9th grade a truly world history course that spans the globe. Then in grade 10, in grade 11, there's 2 years of U.S. history. So in 10th grade, students take U.S. history from 1490. So that is North and South America, North America really, before the arrival of the Europeans, before the arrival of Columbus in 1492, all the way up to 1877 and the ending of a period called Reconstruction, which was this period after the Civil War. And then in grade 11, we go from 1877, the end of Reconstruction, all the way up to the present. So as Mr. Naraki said at the beginning of the night, there's 3 years of U.S. history, so there's no required course in 12th grade. And then moving on to the right side to advanced placement classes, you can see there we have several offerings for advanced placement. We have AP European History, AP Microeconomics, which is a new course this year that is taught by, will be a new course next year, that is taught by one of our most awesome history teachers, Miss Bowen. Microeconomics deals with the decisions of individuals and families and corporations within the larger economic world. We have taught macroeconomics. Miss Bowen has taught macroeconomics, which looks at the economy as a whole, deals with nations and the globe as a whole, and looks at economic trends across the world. She will be teaching that not next year, but the following year, 2023 to 2024. We also have AP US History and AP Government, and then at the senior level, students can take AP Psychology. So AP classes are, they're very challenging. At college level, as Mr. Naraki said, generally speaking, the idea behind that we try to emphasize to our students that if you want to take an AP class, to really think, do you really love the subject? Do you really love the content? And are you ready for a challenge? So those are two things that we think about. And then last column there on the right side, those are the electives that we are offering next year. So your students in 9th grade are eligible to take a History of Modern Africa. They can take that all the way up through 12th grade. That covers modern African history from imperialism to nationalism, all the way up to the present day. We have an introductory course also taught by Miss Bowen on government and economics, dealing with basic government and economic terms and literacy and whatnot. Next year, we will also be offering a brand new class on modern American history from 1980 to the present. The teachers in our department felt that we do a fantastic job of the history that we teach, but it's always a struggle to get to the modern period. And we felt that, collectively, we felt that with everything that is happening in our country, it is really important to help students gain an understanding of some of the roots of what is happening or has happened in our country, and to do that through American History 3, which covers U.S. history from 1980 to the present. Mr. McAdams teaches a fantastic class on the Wild West and the interactions between cowboys and Native Americans, and some of the great legacies and heroes and stories of the Wild West. That's a really exciting class. And then last but not least, we have a class that we started about 2 years ago called The Dark Side of American History. And the purpose of that class is to look at, literally and figuratively, the dark side of American history. We try to emphasize in our regular American history classes the many great sides of American history and the dark sides of American history. But this is a class that particularly looks at that other angle, the unfortunate history of racism and nativism, and many other aspects of our nation's history that are not easy to look at, but that we think are really important for our students to gain a better understanding of. So as all the other fantastic department chairs said, I'm happy to answer questions at the end if we have time. I'm also really happy to answer emails. Please email me. I'm happy to meet with you and to answer any questions that you have. Thank you all again for coming, and hope to see you soon.
All right, thanks, Dr. Lewis. Just a time check for us, those of us who are presenting. We started at 6:08. It's 6:46 now. If my math serves me right, it's about 22 minutes worth of time left. If we go a little bit over and get very close to that 7:08 time, we could allow a few more minutes so that some questions can come in at the end. But we won't go too far beyond 7:08. We'll kind of see where we're at, just to respect all the audience's time and all of our times here. So moving on, we have world languages with Miss Sarah Preston, another longtime AMSA veteran teacher who's been here just about as long as I have, maybe a little bit longer. I can't keep track anymore. Take it away, Miss Preston.
Thanks, Mr. Naraki. Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, I think we may have started the same year, Mr. Naraki. So this is my 11th year. And again, Sarah Preston, happy to be with you tonight. My students call me Senora Preston, but you can call me Sarah. So as you probably know, students at the middle school level at AMSA take Latin grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. And so right now, as your students will be choosing their classes soon, it's exciting. They get to pick whether they would like to continue on with Latin or whether they want to start studying French or Spanish. So a few things with that. I want to let you know that students do have the option of taking a placement test. So for example, if students are, maybe they're new to AMSA and they took a language, maybe they were part of, the Maynard immersion program in Spanish, or maybe they are heritage language speakers and maybe speak Spanish or another language at home. So we do offer a placement test, and I meet with students who are interested, and we can see if they would test into, for example, like Spanish 2 or French 2. So I just want to let you know that that is an option. And also that while officially 2 credits are required in world languages, most colleges like to see at least 3 credits. So they like to see at least 3 consecutive years with the same language. And the vast majority of our students take 3 years, and a really good chunk of students also go on to take the language for 4 years. So just wanted to mention that. So I'll be brief here, but if students choose to continue on with Latin, they would be placed in Latin 2, and that would be generally it's a combined course of college prep and honors. And then 10th grade, the focus there in Latin 3 is on poetry, and their junior year would be Latin 4 with prose. And then their senior year, they can elect to take either Latin 5, which is more of a cultural focus, really interesting class. Mr. Fuller teaches that this year, and or they can take AP Latin, which Mr. Bakala is still teaching. He's been fantastic with that, but he's going to be, going fully over to computer science soon. I should add, we have an awesome new Latin teacher this year at the high school, Mr. Schlichtman. Really excited to have him teaching. So if students, instead of taking Latin, if they want to take French or Spanish, we're looking at a similar sequence. They would, most students, if they're taking French or Spanish, would start at level 1 in the 9th grade. Like I said, they do also have that option though of taking a test and placing in to level 2, 9th grade. And so for French, I should say also that, of course, we have AP offered in all 3 languages, a robust program. And we have Madame Zobro, who teaches French, and she's been here even longer than I have, and she's really passionate about the subject, and really happy to have her. And So junior year, French 3, of course, and then senior year, French 4 is very much like a film and culture class. They look at a number of movies in the target language and analyze those. And they also look at various Francophone countries as they relate to the movies. And students can also elect to take AP French. So Spanish is, again, a similar sequence to French. We have 4 teachers, including myself, who teach Spanish. All of them are wonderful. And so Spanish is our most popular language. We generally, I mean, they're all 3, of course, are wonderful in their own ways. But Spanish is traditionally our most popular class. We usually have at least 3 or 4 sections of that. And we have usually the college prep is separated from honors. I should add that for all 3 languages, just as Ms. Schmidt was talking before about students being able to move up or down, that is also, of course, an option for our department. Students can certainly move up from college prep to honors. And so, once again, their senior year, they would have either Spanish 4, which is like a film and culture class that Mr. Clarkson teaches, and he does a phenomenal job with that, or AP Spanish with Señorita Arteaga, who is from Colombia, also amazing. So it's a rich program. I should say that the goal is to be able to communicate in the target language, and we work at strengthening the 4 skills of listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and incorporating a lot of rich culture from various, whether it's Spanish speaking or French speaking countries or the ancient Roman world. So try to get a lot of interesting culture in there and keep it as relevant as possible. And the other thing I just wanted to add quickly before I move on to the next slide, again, is that students do have the option of starting level 2 in 9th grade for French and Spanish. And if they do that, they have the ability to take AP their junior year. And then they would actually, they could take a 4th year, and that class, instead of being called French 4 or Spanish 4, would be called Film and Culture. And so that is another option, and I'm certainly happy to go into it more with anyone who may be in that situation. Lastly, I would just say that we do sometimes have students that take more than one language, although it's a little bit hard to do with a schedule. We definitely have had people do that, people who have taken both French and Spanish. So I wanted to mention that as well, that is an option there. So I feel like I could say a lot more, but I know we're kind of short on time. And we'll be also talking about our fine art electives. So our art classes, with the exception of AP, our art classes are half a credit each. And students are required to have 1 credit of fine arts. So they would need to take at least 2 classes. And we have 4 awesome fine arts teachers, plus Miss Bowen, who teaches chorus in addition to her history classes. And most of these classes are offered every year. There are a few that we alternate that are offered every other year. But every year we have 3D art, which is a really popular class. And that's a nice option for students who, want to express themselves in a more kinesthetic, hands-on way. Chorus is Miss Bowen, and they're actually having their performance tomorrow night. So that's great. Choice-based art, we've had that class for a couple of years now. And that's another really popular class that Ms. Terrell and Ms. Makinen teach. Drawing and painting is one of the fundamental classes, and most people take that prior to AP. And then multicultural art, myth and art, and printmaking are classes that, usually we'll offer at least one of those three, or one or two of those three, and then the other one will alternate. So I know next year we'll definitely be offering printmaking. We haven't been able to offer that this year or last year. It was just harder to do during the pandemic, and certainly not something that we could do remotely. So Ms. Terrell is excited to be offering that again next year, and I know a lot of students are looking forward to taking that. Western Art Masterpieces is essentially an art history class that Ms. Klopman does an awesome job with. Digital animation is specifically offered to juniors and seniors, and that is taught by Mr. Morgan. And that also, there's generally like a portfolio that students put together prior to that. And that's a very popular class, and that's usually limited to one section, which is why we just have it for grades 11 and 12. And then also AP Studio Art, which is done by Ms. Makinen. She does a phenomenal job. That is 1 credit. That is the only art class that is a full credit. So they meet every day. Very intensive, rigorous class. And I am thoroughly amazed every year at what these students are able to produce. It's really especially incredible to see their work at Arts Nights. So I'll do a quick plug for Arts Night, which is going to be in May. And so look forward to seeing all of the visual art display, not just for our AP art students, but for, from 6th grade and on. And lastly, I would just also include the yearbook. While it does not fulfill the fine arts requirement, that's another elective that students can choose to take. So like the other department chairs said, I'm happy to answer questions at the end, and don't hesitate to reach out to me if any kind of questions come up, or if you're not sure, which language your student should take, etc. So thanks again.
All right, thank you, Ms. Preston. Just another quick time check. There's about 10 minutes left that we had scheduled, because we started at 6:08. We may go a little over 7:08 just to allow some of the questions to come in. I do anticipate we might get if we get quite a flurry of questions. Again, I just hope everyone can understand we may be able only just to get to a few. Maybe a few of the department chairs can point some out very quickly and answer them. But for the sake, again, in respect of everyone's time, we just encourage you. It's an open door policy here. You can email any one of us individually at any time with any specific questions. So again, we will do what we can, but we don't want this night to drag on and have everybody waiting for a lengthy period of time to have their questions answered. So we will move on here. Course selection process. I'm going to let our director of school counseling, the great Miss Driver, can take over now. Go ahead, Miss Driver.
All right. Hi, everybody. So I'm Kate Driver. I've been at AMSA for 5 years and 14 years in the profession. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm going to walk you through the basics of what's going to happen for your students over the next couple of weeks. But I do want to acknowledge, I know that this selection process can seem really overwhelming, and it can feel like a lot right now. So if your head's spinning a little bit, it's okay. We can definitely help you. And there's a lot of good information available on the website that you can view. So we're going to go over where to find some of that. So we'll be meeting with all of your students through their DS in a group before the request process opens, before the website opens for students to request classes, to go over the general process and talk about their options just really for next year and where they can get information on what their options are going forward. They're going to start registering online through Plus portals on the 9th of February, and that form will be open until the beginning of March. You'll get an email outlining all of this information, so you don't have to remember it, I promise. Ms. Losciavo is going to open up appointments for students who'd like to meet with her to discuss their course selection. So they'll have the option to talk through things with her. And teachers will be entering recommendations for students for their math course, their English course, their biology course, actually not their biology course anymore, pardon me, their history course. So they'll get a recommendation from every teacher for math, English, and history. And that will really help guide at least some of their core classes. And then there are a lot of places where they do get to make some choices. Next slide. We recommend that students take 7.5 credits their freshman and sophomore year, but they have to be enrolled in a minimum of 7 credits. We also recommend that students take an art or a chorus in addition to a computer science class in 9th grade, so they can begin working on their graduation requirements. We find that by taking art and computer science in 9th and 10th grade, they get a better idea of what they like, what they want to do, and then they can specialize in their 11th and 12th grade year, as opposed to if they put something off, sometimes they may have to take a requirement that they've been maybe not choosing, and then it can block out something that they really want in the junior and senior year. So that's important to consider. For students who are taking 7 credits, they'll have a study hall every day typically, or they'll have 2 study halls over the day rotation. For students who have 7.5 credits, they'll have a study hall every other day. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see what that would look like. So this is what a student's course load would look like if they were taking 7.5 credits. I just chose these. And then they would have 1 study hall in their schedule every other day for a block. Study hall in the high school is a little bit different than directed study. It's not as hands-on from the teacher, and there's not necessarily the opportunity to meet with all their teachers the way that directed study offers them, but it is nice to have some time carved out in the day to work on homework, to ask questions, sometimes of each other or the teacher that's supervising their study hall. So we definitely recommend that. Students who are in 8 credits, that's a pretty hefty load, especially for a 9th grader. Okay. So the AMSA program of studies is really important. All the prerequisites for every course are listed in the program of studies. And so we definitely recommend that students look ahead. If a student really wants to take AP Computer Science their sophomore year, we recommend that they look at what they need to do and the course they need to take to be ready for that in sophomore year. So they should do some backward planning. We offer, we could definitely help them choose those things if they know some of what they'd like to try. But we also really want to make sure that they are considering their own time and stress management. There's also homework estimates in the program of studies, and we send out what I think is a really good time management form that's produced by Challenge Success. They're a partner that we work with. So we've sent this out the last few years and we've gotten really good feedback about it, but it looks at what are the students doing, what are their classes, what kind of homework are they probably going to have, and what are the activities that they do outside of school, and how do we make sure that they also have some time for themselves, to spend time with their family, to have some fun, because we know that balance is really, really important. We encourage involvement in extracurriculars. There are many clubs that are available at the high school level, more than have been open to them in middle school. But we also recommend that they don't necessarily just get involved in everything to be involved in everything. They should pick a few things that they really enjoy. We know that colleges like to see a depth of knowledge as opposed to just doing everything. A resume that's a mile long and an inch deep is not necessarily as strong. So that's something that we really do encourage students to think about. What do you like doing? How do you want to spend your time? And lastly, 9th grade, quote unquote, counts. And so middle school grades, they don't really go anywhere unless you're applying to a private high school. But 9th grade is included on the transcript and GPA that eventually go to colleges and universities. And I don't say that to frighten anyone. There are many students who struggle in 9th grade and improve throughout and still go and do all sorts of wonderful things at the college and university level. So having a rough 9th grade or 10th grade year doesn't count them out for post-secondary options. But for some students, they don't necessarily realize this, or families don't necessarily realize this. So we just like to mention it so that you are aware. Next up.
All right, Ms. Driver, I think we're moving on to AMSA athletics. I've been,
Okay, I have one other thing I wanted to add. I'm sorry. I thought
go ahead.
that I fixed the slide, but I think I'm using a different deck than you. So we offer a variety of services for counseling. One of the things that I told myself this year that I would make sure that I mentioned in every meeting where I was with adults is one of our resources. So we have a partnership with the Interface Referral Service. So they are a referral service that will help families find therapists for students if they are in need of additional outside therapy support. We know that finding a therapist is really difficult. And so in every meeting I'm in this whole year, if you see me, I will be plugging Interface. So I'm going to toss the link in here. And if you have questions, you can always email me. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Ms. Driver. And last but not least, the best, I would say he's the best athletic director in Massachusetts, maybe New England, maybe the country. I don't know. Mr. Jones, I was texting with him maybe about 20 minutes ago. He wrapped up a basketball game. He walked over, he cleaned up 4 kicks, broke it all down over there. And I believe, if you're out there, Mr. Jones, I believe he's here.
I am here. Thank you, Mr. Naraki. I will admit to being the best athletic director at AMSA, but anything beyond that, I can't imagine that to be the case. As Mr. Naraki said, I just rushed over here from 4 kicks. There's like an adult band playing in the upper school caf, so I can't present in my office. I just found a quiet spot. There's cleaning crews everywhere, so if there's vacuums in the background, I apologize. Just a couple quick slides on AMSA athletics. We are a member of the MIA, the State Athletic Association. I think sometimes people think because we're a charter school that we might play in a different athletic league or division, and we did when the school first opened. But for the better part of more than a decade now, we are a full-fledged MIAA school. We are in a league here in Central Mass called the Colonial Athletic League. It's a lot of tech schools here in Central Mass, as well as a few charter schools. So it's a good home for us. At this point, we have about 37 teams spread out throughout 23 varsity programs. And student athletes in grades 6 through 12 can participate at any of our levels. We offer varsity, junior varsity, freshman, and a few middle school offerings. And our student body is eligible to play at any of those levels, depending on their skill, ability, and their physicality. So there's something for everybody. Just a little bit on our offerings. We have 3 seasons of offerings. Our fall season, which begins at the end of the summer, just prior to Labor Day, and culminates with football on Thanksgiving. The sports we offer are varsity and JV boys and girls soccer, varsity and middle school boys and girls cross country, varsity, JV, and freshman volleyball. We have a varsity golf team. And what I have here listed as co-ops, they're not programs of our own. They're actually housed at Assabet and Maynard, respectively, for field hockey and football. But we are guests in those programs. So we do have a field hockey and a football opportunity, again, for our field hockey girls over at Assabet and for our football players at Maynard. And in the winter, we have a few co-ops as well in the sport of ice hockey. Our girls co-op at Algonquin Regional in Northborough, and our boys ice hockey players co-op at Marlborough High. Actually, both of those programs right now are probably the 2 top programs in Central Mass for girls and boys. Marlborough and Algonquin are having really successful seasons. For our basketball offerings, we offer boys and girls varsity and JV basketball. We also have a boys middle school team. We do have varsity indoor track for boys and girls, and we have varsity swimming for boys and girls. And in the spring, we're just coming off probably arguably our most successful spring last June, even into July. Our baseball team went to the state semifinals. They won a Central Mass championship. We had a state champion in outdoor track and field, senior Rachel Bibu. She just signed with Brown. She was a state champion in the triple jump in outdoor track and field. And our girls tennis team won the state championship, our first team state championship in history. So it was a very successful spring. That begins at the end of March and runs typically till mid-June. Last year with COVID, it went past July 4th. But we have varsity and JV softball and baseball. We have varsity and JV boys and girls lacrosse. Again, we have our own state championship girls tennis team. Our boys tennis team, which played for a state championship a few years ago, they are also involved in a co-op that I described a few minutes ago. They are housed over at Marlborough High School. And then we have varsity and middle school boys and girls track and field.
All right, Mr. Jones, I think that's the conclusion. Yep. We can open it up.
So I'll just pipe up. Ms. Luciavo will be sending information to all of the 8th grade students. She's the 8th grade counselor, about how to make an appointment with her if they'd like to sit down individually after she's met with them all through PS. So they'll get an email. There's a little link and they just click it and they book a time. So that will be helpful. So they have to click the link and book it, but yeah.
The version number
on. We typically only have the current year available on the website. So
yeah, for that you're talking about the program of study version. Yeah, that's the most updated version. If we make any
it's
significant edits, we usually
posted online. Yeah.
There is a question about higher math grade, and there are two things: higher math level and higher math course. So those who ask me this question, please, can you please, specify what you're talking about, level or course?
The teacher recommendations, while we're waiting on that potential question clarification for Ms. Schmidt, the teacher recommendation process started on January 4th. That concludes, I think Ms. Driver said February 9th earlier. It's actually February 10th where the teacher recommendation process closes. And on February 10th, on the same day, we will open up the student requests. So you will see the teacher recommendations. Those will be available for you on Plus Portals on February 10th, probably in the early afternoon timeframe that day. As Ms. Driver said, we will send out a mass email to all parents, guardians, and students in grades 8 through 11 with instructions on the student request process, and much more information will come on the 10th. Or if not the 10th, the day before at least, just to prep everybody for the 10th.
And as for lunches are structured based upon the scheduling and how the classes work out through that 5th period rotation. So there is a mix between 9th and 10th, 11th and 12th graders in the cafeteria during lunches. Usually senior privileges sort of shake out that the seniors get to eat outside and stuff like that. So there's more space available, particularly in the fall and in the spring. But we have seniors who like hardcore eat outside year round, which is kind of cool. But it's not by grade level. It's not like at the middle school. It's totally based upon the schedule.
Exactly correct.
I was going to jump in really quickly. I saw a question that popped up. So with regard to, do kids go on another 2 years in Latin and then switch later for a year or two French or Spanish? Generally, what students do and what is advised by colleges is they're really looking for at least 3 consecutive years of the same language. So generally, students would decide to either continue on with Latin throughout high school or to take French or Spanish for at least 3 years in a row. That's generally the most advisable way to go.
Does anyone want to chime in with the AP question that just popped up here?
So it depends on the department. I was typing something. So AP classes for the science department and the computer science department are in addition to. In history, it's a mix. So students can take either AP US History 2, or pardon me, either US History 2 or AP US History. They have to take one of those. And then in mathematics, it would replace a core class. So it kind of depends, but most times in most of our departments, it does replace the course, but there are a few exceptions, and we can help students with that. But it can't sub in, like you can't take AP biology instead of regular biology, if that makes any sense.
Just a quick time check. If we could, it's 7:17 right now. Maybe we could, if it's okay with everyone, if any of the department chairs, if you have to head out, that's fine. I'm thinking maybe till 7:20, just another 3 minutes to get through. I think another good question popped up here.
I can answer the one on teacher So students are supposed to be meeting with their teachers. We recommended as department heads that every teacher meet with their classes and spend some class time talking to their students about recommendations. So that should be happening right now. I know in the science department, it's been a tiered approach. So a teacher has been tackling sort of like one class a day to get those recommendations. But it should be happening during this time frame. And the teachers are supposed to be pulling the students aside to talk to them.
I saw the question about amount of homework versus CP versus honors. I could answer that for history. For CP classes, it's usually between a half hour and an hour each week. And then for honors classes, anywhere between a half an hour and an hour and a half or so.
I believe for honors versus CP versus AP classes, we have approximate number of hours for homework in our program of studies. At least we have for math. So if you can look at it, and it is approximate, but it is more or less accurate.
Yes, it is all outlined in the program of studies, so you'd be able to identify the difference between the leveling in each department for sure. And I believe the program of studies, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Driver, it's all based on a weekly basis, from what I recall. It doesn't say yeah. So Dr. Lewis was just mentioning a half hour to an hour per week for a CP course, for example, not per night. It's on per week is how the program of studies outlines it. All right, I think we could do one more question. And then again, all of you out there, thank you for your patience with this. And we knew that there would be a bunch of questions. Please do not hesitate to email anyone individually. We can take one more out there. Ms. Preston answered a question here, which is great.
From the point of view of students are recommended for more than one AP class and how do they choose? The answer is that AP classes are not GPA boosters. Like, you have to understand, going into an AP class, you are not boosting your GPA. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be something that you're going to have a passion for, because it makes it less hard and just a fun challenge, right? Like that's the hard truth about APs. So if you're recommended for 2 APs, it's an honest conversation with your son or daughter to sit down and say, or your student to sit down and say, like, what is your passion? Where does your passion lay for this year? Where do you want to spend that time? Because having tons and tons of APs means they lose their childhood and they lose sleep. That's the honest answer. They're going to lose the ability to spend time, and they're going to lose their ability to have full nights of sleep because they'll just be doing too much. And I teach AP Bio, that is my subject, and I counsel students out of AP Bio every year because I need them to know that it is not going to be an easy road and certainly not something that boosts their GPA.